friends, my name is Katie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to shake things up a little bit, and instead of doing a monthly wrap-up, I'm going to do a monthly favorites video. And that's for a few different reasons. Mainly because I only read 3 books this month, and 2 of the books that I read were already almost done, and so reading this month was not great. But the books that I did read, I enjoyed. So I will include those in this video. I'll just mention all of the books and then talk about my favorite, but I'm going to share some other favorite things from this month as well. Since this is a predominantly book channel, why don't I start with the books that I read and then my favorite of those books. I started off the book by finishing up Last Ride to Graceland by Kim Wright. It's a contemporary adult fiction novel about a woman who just lost her mother, and she's trying to figure out who her real father was. She doesn't know a lot about her mother's history. She goes on a road trip to Graceland because she believes that Elvis is her father, and it's sort of a book about self-discovery. I love road trip stories. I thought that this was an exceptionally well-written contemporary adult fiction novel. There was no romance, so if that's not something you're into but you still like contemporaries, this might be a book to pick up. It came out this summer. I was really impressed with things like that, but because it took me like 7 months to read, I didn't rate it really highly just because for whatever reason it wasn't really holding my attention. But when I finally did finish it and looking at the novel, it was very well constructed. It was an interesting plot. It was really fun, so I did enjoy it. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but I don't put a ton of stock into star ratings, so take it for what you will. It was a really fun contemporary read, and I'm glad that I read it, although it really is a summer read, and I wish I would have completed it start to finish this summer. Then I read The Night Circus, and I really enjoyed this book a lot. But I had a few qualms that kept me from the kind of gushing that most people have with this book. As many of you know, I'm a really character-driven reader, and this book, while character-driven, is really interesting because you feel really separate from the characters. You never feel fully attached to them, you never feel fully invested in them. It's like you're looking at them in a snow globe almost, because this is written from an omniscient narrator point of view. I would have been able to look past that more, but a central plot point to this book is a romance between 2 of the characters, and because I didn't feel invested in these characters, I really didn't feel invested in the romance, and that really took away from the book for me. However, this book was so atmospheric, it was so beautifully written, and even though it wasn't plot-driven, it was so engaging and beautiful, and I loved the circus itself, and I loved the idea of this competition between these 2 magicians. In so many ways, it was so well done. So even though I wasn't fully invested in the characters, I was fully invested in the book and the story. So I still highly recommend this book, and I also think this is one of those books that, as time goes on, I'll look back on it and have more thorough thoughts and feelings and opinions about it. It could be that I end up loving this book more as I look back on it. It just feels like one of those books that I need time to process it. Finally, this summer, I started East of Eden by John Steinbeck, and I kept putting it down and picking up other books. Like, it kept getting put aside in favor of reading other things, and not because I wasn't enjoying it. I really enjoyed it when I picked it up, but I resolved in January to finish this book because there's so many other books that I want to get to this year, and I'm so glad that I took the time to finish it because this book was amazing. And even though I set it down for months at a time, I never forgot anything from the book, and to me that is a testament to how truly amazing the storytelling and the plot and the characters are in this book. John Steinbeck's writing is incredible. This deserves to be called John Steinbeck's magnum opus. It was so brilliantly done. It's a sweeping family saga that looks at the histories of these 2 families. Its basic premise is that it's a retelling of the story of Cain and Abel from the Bible, but in my opinion there's a little dash of Jacob and Esau in here as well, but the Cain and Abel story really doesn't show up until about halfway through the book because there's so much set up, and part of the message of this story, I think, is how the sins of our fathers, the sins of our family follow us generationally. It is just amazing. I am so glad I read this, and it really makes me excited to pick up more classics this year. That's one of my resolutions. I didn't end up doing a resolutions video, which, by the way, if people want to hear my bookish resolutions, if they don't feel like it's too late, please let me know in the comments. I have some resolutions that I can share. I just haven't done that yet, but let me know if that's something that you'd like to see. So anyway, this was my favorite book this month. I loved it. I also have 2 pieces of jewelry that I received for Christmas that are my favorite things from this month. I've worn them like every day. This necklace was from my husband. I don't know if you can see it. It's a really delicate necklace with an opal on the end of it. My husband got it for me for Christmas. I'm really loving sort of delicate necklaces these days, and this I just love, and I think it's beautiful, and I love that my husband picked it out for me at Christmas time. And then I also received a necklace from my mother for Christmas. It's another delicate necklace with a freshwater pearl on it, just a single freshwater pearl, and I love it. It's a rose gold chain. It was designed and made by my dear friend Hannah, who is a jewelry designer. She makes jewelry for a living. I just think it's so beautiful, and I wear it all the time. It's a necklace that I feel like you can wear dressed up or dressed down. It's an everyday necklace, but you can also wear it more formally, which I haven't had a chance to do and probably won't for a really long time because that's mom life. I am not much of a coffee drinker, and I go through stages where I just don't drink much of anything in the mornings, but when I do, I tend to enjoy a black tea, and my favorite black tea has always been Thai Fu. It's a British tea, and my auntie, whenever she goes over there, always brings me back a box of Thai Fu tea, even though I think you can get it on Amazon, and you might even be able to find it at World Market sometimes, but I love it, and it's a pretty strong black tea, but with milk and sugar, which is how I take my tea. It is delicious, and I much prefer it to coffee. And since I've been collecting baby things over the past few months, I just have a couple of my favorite baby items that I want to share with you. One is a gift that I got from my other auntie, and they are these bandana bibs. I love these things. My older son will be 3 in March, and when he was a baby, these didn't exist, or at least they were not as prevalent as they are today. And I just think they are so brilliant because they just look so much more stylish than having a bib, because babies spit up a lot, and so they have to wear bibs, and why not be stylish while you're doing it instead of looking just like you're wearing a bib. These came in a pack of 2. There's this really cute one with black bears on it, and then there's just this sort of triangle western looking pattern. They come from an Etsy shop called The Pleated Petal, if anyone's interested, and I love all of the bandana bibs that she sells. I could collect them all. My other favorite baby item is this bison blanket. I got it off of a website that now I can't remember the name of, but the company that makes the blanket is Little Unicorn. It's like 4 layers of muslin, and it's thick and cozy and comfortable, and it's really big too. So it's really nice to wrap up in myself and then also wrap up a baby in. The reason that I love this blanket and these bandana bibs so much partly is they don't look too babyish. I love when things don't look too cutesy baby, and these things are perfect because they're really sweet, but they don't look too cutesy baby. And then obviously my most favorite thing in the month of January is this little guy. This is little Wilder Lane. He's the 3rd love of my life, my husband, my boy Fox, and now Wilder. He's so sweet. He came a week ago, rushing into this world. Like I mentioned in my last video, I'd had prodromal labor for about a week. I don't know if many people know what prodromal labor is. It's not something that you'd necessarily know unless you're experiencing it, but it's basically labor without a baby at the end. So every night at about 5 o'clock, I would start getting contractions, and they'd get stronger, and they'd get closer together, and they'd last for like hours into the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they just end. So you never really knew if it was the real thing or not because it was progressing, but then it would just stop. And that happened for a week. And then on Saturday night, last Saturday night, I got food poisoning. It was terrible. And then I spent Sunday in triage because My doctor wanted to make sure that everything was okay and that the baby was okay and that I was hydrated. And then Monday morning, Wilder decided that it was time for the real thing. And it happened really, really, really fast, which is completely different than how my first son came. My first son was really slow to make his entrance in the world, and Wilder came in a whirlwind. Wilder, my favorite thing from this month, for sure. I'm so in love. He's an eating machine, and you can probably tell he's totally searching right now. He's like, Mama, I need to eat. I need to eat right now. Yeah, look at that face, you guys. Look at that face. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. I just want to eat him up. And the baby smell. Oh, that baby smell. It's the best thing in the world. It's the best thing in the world. I'm not sure that you can top a baby for a monthly favorite. So with that, I think I'll sign off. And I'll talk to you guys later. You're floppy. You're floppy because newborns are so floppy. Yeah. Look at those floppy feet. The gruntles. You're ready to eat again. I know it. I know it. Wilder Lane.